Dark 9 Radio presents The Modifier.
The battering ram hit the door like thunder. Boom, boom, crack! Go, go, go! SWAT blasted through the front door of the old house on Peppermill Road. Flashlights cut through mold-stained walls and dust-choked air. The stench hit Marla Griggs the second she stepped through the door behind them. Rotted wood, old copper, and bleach. Bleach always meant blood. In the basement, one of the SWAT members shouted, "We've got movement!" They moved like a hive, shouting commands, boots on hard wood, safeties off. Marla followed them down the stairs, pistol drawn, throat dry, and that's when she saw him. He was standing beside a young girl on a stained metal table. Gloved hands, slick and red. She was alive, barely. Pale skin, one eye swollen shut. Her arms ended in bloody stumps where her hands had been. Tape gagged her mouth. Tears had soaked into her hairline. The man? Surgical. Focused. He held a scalpel in one hand and a set of sutures in the other. A plastic tray beside him held what looked like fingers. "Don't move," said one of the officers. The modifier turned slowly, eyes landing on Marla. She had seen photographs, crime scene shots, mutilated men and women with words carved into their flesh, but this was evil, alive, and breathing. He didn't resist when they tackled him, didn't speak, didn't blink. Marla stood over him as they cuffed his arms behind his back. Blood soaked the front of his shirt. She looked at the girl again. 14? Maybe. Drenched in blood, her limbs twitching, her body broken. "You're done," Marla said. Her voice came out hollow. The modifier, laying face down on the ground with his hands cuffed behind his back, looked up and smiled. The interrogation room smelled like fear and bleach. Not the kind you notice right away, but the kind that seeps into your nose and won't leave, clinging to your sinuses like cobwebs. The air was cold, too cold. The walls were poured concrete, blank and gray. No clock, no window, just the fluorescent hum overhead and the drain in the far corner of the floor that Marla Griggs made a conscious effort not to think about. He was already there when she stepped into the interrogation room, chained to the bolted-down chair like a circus animal waiting for its turn to perform. Shackles hugged his ankles and his wrists. His fingers were still stained, red, black, dried stiff. His shirt, once white, was crusted with the blood of a girl who hadn't finished bleeding. Marla didn't sit. She dropped the file on the table like a gavel. The photos spilled out across the steel. Victims, scenes, little pieces of truth scattered like broken teeth. "You're not going to talk, are you?" she said. He looked up slow, like someone not wanting to wake up from a dream. His eyes were flat and black, shark eyes, dead eyes. And then that smile crept across his face, slow and lazy, soft at the corners like mold creeping along bread. Marla reached into the pile and pulled the top photo. She didn't ease it into view. She forced it in front of him. 14, she said. Tape across her mouth, no fingers, palms flayed like you were peeling an orange. He shrugged with no emotion. He didn't blink. The smile grew. She set the photo down, slid it across the table like a chip in a poker game. "You stitched her eyelids open. You wanted her to watch, you sick bastard." He tilted his head, just a fraction, like a man listening to a song that only he could hear. Marla grabbed another photo. Mid-40s, male. What was left of him looked like it had been sculpted from meat. "Henry Walton," she said. "Middle school teacher. Found in his shed, eyes spooned from the sockets. The word watched carved into his chest like a goddamn confession." And speaking of confessions, Malcolm Reeves, 81-year-old man, he baptized my goddaughter, for crying out loud. She dropped the file on the table like a gavel. Again, he shrugged without emotion. "We got you dead to rights. We got you. What you did to that little girl, she was 14. What could she have possibly done to you?" "Nothing." But to others, well, I'd like to show you. And that's all he said. And then somehow, impossibly, his cuffs weren't on anymore. 1 second they were clamped to his wrists, heavy and tight. And the next they were lying on the table like dead snakes. No key, no struggle, just off. Before she could react, his hands reached across the table, fast but calm, and took hers. Marla Griggs tried to scream. Her brain told her to scream. Her lungs told her to scream. Her throat said no. Her vocal cords just shut down, like a switch was flipped. Her mouth hung open, but no sound came out, not even a whisper. The modifier leaned in, still holding her hands. His palms were warm, too warm. His lips didn't move, but his voice filled her head, smooth and patient, like someone reading a bedtime story through a radio tuned just to the right frequency. This body you see, it's just a tool, a shell to move the hand of vengeance. Marla's heart jackhammered against her ribs. She could hear him inside of her. Not in the room, not through her ears, but inside. I don't act on my own. I never have. She wanted to pull away, but her limbs had gone heavy. Her hand stayed pinned in his, like iron caught in a magnet. Whose vengeance? She thought. Not screamed, not said, but thought. This time, his lips did move. Whose vengeance, you ask? He said aloud, as his voice echoed, not off the walls, but once again in her bones. He smiled. The master of this universe, and of ones humans can't see. Then something began to change. It started at his eyes. The dark irises went gold, molten, flickering like the last light of a dying star. His skin began to glow, faint at first, then radiant. His clothes melted into something white and flowing, like silk, like clouds, like light. His hands still gripped hers, but they no longer felt like flesh. They felt like truth. It came to her like a dream dripped in sewage. Henry Walton, corduroy jacket, science teacher, the kind of man who gave extra credit for cleaning beakers, and he always seemed a little too excited about parent-teacher conferences. Marla had thought he was just another name in a folder, another body in a shed. But now she saw. The modifier didn't tell her. He didn't need to. He opened the door in her mind, and she walked into Henry's darkness. A screen, a cursor, a form called Toy Chest. No downloads, no saved files, just the dark web and live feeds. Children, tied, hurt, streaming in real time. Then he'd go to school the next morning and teach kids how to grow lima beans and paper towels. Then came Father Reeves, 81, frail hands, a holy man, the kind who never raised his voice, not even to the devil himself. But there were stories. Altar boys, all now grown men, all broken in different ways. One tried to hang himself, the other tried to burn the church down. In the hidden crawl spaces beneath the church, Polaroids, hundreds, labeled with dates, ages, and confessions. Marla could smell the must in the air, the old wood and older sins soaked into it. Then Sarah, 14, big brown eyes, long silky hair, sweet, innocent. But she wasn't really, not even close. Sarah ran a little operation from her foster home's basement. She lured younger boys in, sometimes with promises, sometimes with dares, sometimes with a seductive smile. And once they were alone, once the door clicked shut, the cruelty came out like knives in the dark. She'd hurt them, humiliate them, make them beg. One boy jumped off the roof of the gym. He was only 12. Another stopped speaking entirely. Sarah kept their secrets in a journal. She called it her book of sins. She laughed when she read it. The glow receded, like a tide pulling back from shore, leaving nothing but silence and the sound of Marla's own breathing, shallow, fast, afraid. Michael, if that's truly who he was, sat across from her again. Less light now, less awe, but not less powerful. He looked at her not like a monster, not like a killer, but like someone holding up a mirror, an angel holding up a mirror. "You wonder why I brought you here," he said. "Why you've seen what you've seen." Marla wiped her sweaty palms on her slacks. "Because I'm the one chasing you," she said. Michael shook his head no. "Because you're on the list, Marla." The room seemed to shrink. Marla's throat went tight. No, she said, but it didn't come out strong. Just breath and guilt. And then she saw it. The memory unspooled, not as a vision, but as a feeling, familiar and sharp, like walking into a room where something terrible happened long ago and the walls still remembered. Her brother, 16. The neighbor girl, younger, frightened. Marla, just out of the academy, still green, but already in uniform. They'd called her before the report went through the channels. She sat in a quiet room with the girl's mother, told her it was probably a misunderstanding, that pressing charges would rip the neighborhood apart, that good families make mistakes sometimes. She never lied exactly. She just made the truth go away. And it had. The file closed quietly. Her brother switched schools. The girl stopped coming outside. I didn't hurt anyone, she whispered now, barely able to meet his eyes. "No," Michael said, "but you knew, and you hid it." Marla shook her head. He was just a kid. He didn't do what they said he did." But even as she said it, the words felt thin, like old wallpaper over mold. "You gave him his freedom," Michael said, "and she lost her innocence." He let the weight of the truth settle between them. Marla sat in that room, the photos of mutilated bodies still scattered on the table, her hands trembling in her lap. "What happens now?" she asked. Michael stood for the first time. He looked tired. "That part's not up to me," he said. "That's up to you." He turned for the door. "You can bury it again, or you can speak. It won't fix what's broken, but it's a start." And with that, the door opened. No guards, no chains, just a hallway, empty and waiting for the Modifier to walk out.